gis nga beneen waxtu bi ruux di ñaanaat.
One of the privileged moments for the invocation of the soul is between the Salât al Asr and Salât al Maghrib. This is a time of introspection where the soul engages in a dialogue with its creator. Allah has established a bond of loyalty between the soul and the human being, whose body serves as its earthly vessel. This is why, during this interval, the soul invokes Allah using two of His divine names, in particular, Al-Bassîtu and al-Latîf. In the invocation of the name Al-Bassîtu, the soul calls upon it 7 times, while for the name Al-Latîf, it addresses it 9 times. The essence of this invocation lies in the quest for elevation and reconnection with its primordial reality, a reality that existed before its earthly sojourn, so that it may fully reunite with it. When referring to the soul's original past, the most tangible and accessible reality is that of al-Arwâh, the world of souls. It is in this immaterial world that Allah gathered all souls and posed to them the solemn question, Alastu bi rabbikum? Qalu bala. It is in this primordial state that the soul finds its greatest proximity to the divine, and it is toward this reality that it aspires to return. The soul invokes Allah through Al-Bassîtu and al-Latîf at this precise moment, because it knows that Allah has granted human beings unique privileges. Among these privileges, one of the most profound lies in the connection between the ghaib and the shahada. On earth, the soul is confined within a body, an organic shell that limits its radiance. However, in the dimension of the ghaib, there exist pathways through which it can return to its original state. Yet, to access these spiritual passages, it requires 2 fundamental permissions, Hadharatul Ilâhiyya and Dîwânul Hirâ. These 2 realities are spaces where the soul can flourish and free itself from the constraints of earthly limitations. Thus, the invocation of the name Al-Bassîtu, repeated 7 times, aims to open the path toward Hadharatul Ilâhiyya, allowing the soul to expand into ghaib. Similarly, the invocation of the name Al-Latîf, repeated 9 times, seeks to guide it toward Dîwânul Hirâ. These supplications reach their full effectiveness when accompanied by the meditation of the body that houses the soul. This harmony between the soul and the body fosters spiritual elevation and facilitates the acceptance of prayers. However, for the body's meditation to be in perfect synergy with the soul's invocation, it is imperative that the individual performs the Salât al Asr. For the soul's invocations to be accompanied by the body's meditation, it is essential that the individual performs the Salât al Asr with absolute concentration. In this context, we can appreciate the elevated spiritual dimension of Mawlaya Shaykh Ahmad Tijani and the extraordinary depth of his mystical knowledge. When we reflect on the reality of the soul and the invocations it makes through the 2 divine names, Al-Bassîtu and al-Latîf, we grasp the paramount importance of the body's meditation in ensuring these invocations are answered. It is in this logic that Mawlaya Shaykh Ahmad Tijani established the Lazim Dhikr immediately after the Salât al Asr. We observe that the Salât al Asr as a spiritual practice aligns with the dynamic of the verse, Inna salata tanha anil fakhsha'i wal munkar. But beyond this dimension, it finds its ultimate anchor in the continuation of the verse, وَلَذِكْرُ اللَّهِ أَكْبَرُ. It is precisely this absolute primacy of Dhikr over all other actions that justifies the practice of the Lazim. This practice, by establishing a deep meditative state, addresses a fundamental need of the soul between the Salât al Asr and Salât al Maghrib. Thus, Mawlaya Shaykh Ahmad Tijani provided a concrete and structural solution to this spiritual necessity. He instructed his disciples to perform Salât al Asr and then observe the Lazim, immersing them in intense meditation. This is precisely why the Tijani disciples, whose Dhikr is accepted, experience little difficulty in accessing Hadharatul Ilâhiyya and find their souls moving effortlessly within Dîwânul Hirâ. After Salât al Asr, the soul continues its invocation internally within the body. This reality may sometimes escape human awareness. However, through the Dhikr of the two divine names, it calls upon its Lord by repeating Al-Bassîtu 7 times to seek a spiritual pathway, enabling it to access Hadharatul Ilâhiyya, the celestial sphere of elevation and light. Al-Latîf 9 times to request an entrance to Dîwânul Hirâ, the protected sanctuary where the soul absorbs divine secrets. It is only through mediation that the human being can synchronize their body with the soul's invocation, thereby aiding it in reaching these higher spheres. By performing the Lazim, one actualizes this spiritual assistance. The title of Supreme Spiritual Master, often attributed to Mawlaya Shaykh Ahmad Tijani, can fully be understood by one who comprehends the workings of the soul. Indeed, all his guidance, his words, and his tariqah are strictly aligned with the needs of the soul and the subtle law governing its evolution. In this same initiatory perspective, the sages strongly discouraged sleeping during the interval between Salât al Asr and Salât al Maghrib. This recommendation stems from the haqiqah. They assert that sleeping during this time deprives the individual of access to wilaya. Similarly, they teach that the sustenance is allocated at the time of Fajr, and they also prohibit sleeping after Salât al Asr, as it is a time when sanctity is distributed. These teachings are not isolated claims, but find confirmation in the Holy Quran. One day, while meditating on the divine name Ar-Rahim, according to the instructions of Mawlaya Shaykh Ahmad Tijani, I noticed that my teachings on the soul's invocations between Al-Bassîtu and Al-Latîf were perfectly aligned with the sage's warnings against sleeping during these hours. This drew my attention to these Quranic verses. Wal Asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Intrigued by the term al-insan, I asked Mawlaya Shaykh Ahmad Tijani about its profound meaning. He replied, "It is the one who has no definition." Reflecting on this answer, I deduced that Allah in this verse is addressing the one who lacks any will toward his Creator, even before declaring him in loss. Thus, the only ones who escape this loss are those who perform Salât al Asr and follow it with the Lazim, thereby demonstrating their sincere will and deep commitment to their Lord. The organization of the soul's invocation to its Lord between Salât al Asr and Salât al Maghrib reveals a spiritual structure of paramount importance. It demonstrates that it is imperative for every human being to accompany their soul in this divine quest.